that this is going to be a good one.
I think KOO's going to ban the Rek'Sai. And there's a TF ban against KOO. Of course, we have seen that more on the blue side. And there it is, Rek'Sai banned immediately.
Yep.
Not very surprising. I think KOO definitely wants to play the Eve if they can. Ezreal. We are still on 5.13, guys, so the Ezreal ban makes sense. And they're targeting KOO. Seems like a good strategy. KT may want to go ahead and first pick a mid laner. It'll be interesting to see if Victor is left up. Remember, KOO is professionally undefeated on Victor. And the Thresh against Peekaboo. So actually 2 pocket bans. Now, is Kalista or is Ryze going to get through this draft now?
I am going to guess Kalista.
Well, it's up to KT to decide that now, whether they want to prioritize either of those champions.
We'll see. Taking a long time on this last ban, and they're going to ban the Rumble. They want at least one of those 2 picks we talked about.
Yeah, and this makes sense. I was wondering if this was going to be banned too, because Someday is not a Rumble player.
Yeah, that is true.
Out of all the meta champions, and we talk about his big champion pool, now Someday has played Rumble, but it's not as big of a pick. Kalista and Ryze are both open.
Yeah, so KOO bans the Azir to guarantee them they get at least one of them. I don't think the Victor pick is going to be the way to go here.
I actually don't know about that, because what is KOO going to play now? When we've seen target bans, let's think back to the SK Telecom games that KOO had. KOO was playing Cassiopeia and Kassadin, and KT was just shoving into him brutally.
Yeah.
Or SKT was, and taking control of the map. It will be the Ryze.
Well, you put Someday on Ryze, and man, sparks are going to fly. No pun intended. Well, pun actually totally intended.
This should be Kalista Victor from KOO.
Yeah. Makes sense. There will be. Alistar's still available for Peekaboo.
Wow, this is going to be a weird game now.
No kidding. Yeah. And so we've got Prey on Kalista, and with the way Prey's positioning has been in recent games, you gotta be a little bit nervous. We'll see what happens.
Sure, and you can also take the Maokai now.
Yeah, exactly.
To help you, they don't have a very mobile back line. Gragas and Maokai. Oh, well, the Maokai.
You're saying you could send the Ryze mid, perhaps?
You can send the Ryze mid. We've seen players do that this season. It's definitely viable.
Can Nagne play Ryze though?
Nagne's a pretty big champion pool.
Generally does. Well, I think Gragas for score is kind of a given here.
They could try and take away the Evelynn, but Wisdom has a strong early game. He's got good Gragas mechanics. And Corki may be the selection for Arrow. Now, this is more of a takeaway because Corki is not Arrow's best champion. Yes, he looked better against Samsung with Corki, but he sometimes just kind of valks into enemy team fights randomly.
I mean, they've already got Kalista, so you do have to wonder why they didn't just go a Sivir, perhaps.
Yeah, the Sivir, the Kog'Maw here, still open, so a bit curious. But
he saw Oku go insane on Corki. He's like, I want to do that now.
Oh, interesting. Wisdom is going to play Nidalee. That is new.
Did not expect that one.
That is new. So Annie and Nidalee will be the lock-in. This is a team with a lot of backline threat, and they want Annie, Kalista, Nidalee. That is huge kill pressure in lane. You'd have to think that KT is going to swap out of it. Peekaboo onto the Leona.
All right, wow. Immediately locks that one in, and what are we going to see? Are we going to maybe see Someday actually take that Kennen? No, I guess not. Nagne has played a bit of Cassiopeia lately, but how does that fit?
He's been, well, it's great with Gragas.
True.
Gragas is actually a very strong champion with both Cassiopeia and Ryze because you are able to just launch somebody right into your team, and the single target damage will just blow them up immediately.
Yeah. All right. Well, waiting to lock that in. I have to imagine it's probably what it's going to be unless they're going to swap it last minute.
I love that we see the Corki Leona lane again because this is one of the really strong lanes for Corki early.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see what Peekaboo can do on this champion too, because this is definitely his style of champion.
And Mundo.
Mundo.
Okay, well, we did see this. We saw SK Telecom play the Mundo into the Ryze, actually. Now, they lost that game against CJ in the ultra late game.
Yeah.
But the split push coming in from Marin's Mundo was impressive. Now, he ran Smite Mundo and was constantly farming the enemy jungle. Looks like Smeb not going to lock in the Smite Summoner, so it will be a bit different. I think the Smite is better because you're going to have pressure on that lane, and then you could just walk in and clear out their jungle multiple times. I think Marin played that matchup very well.
Well, we saw how strong that was. Yeah, it's surprising that he's not picking.
Well, it's also a lot of AP here coming from KT, so the Mundo still a good pick in that regard too, because you can build that fast Spirit Visage here and then be even tankier during your ultimate because you'll get that much more HP back. So they have a lot of late game damage. Maybe the Kog'Maw would have been better, but I understand if they're concerned about the burst coming in from Victor and Italy could be dangerous. Very
True.
Interesting composition, and I think it's cool that the answer to the Annie is going to be the Corki Leona lane, because that's that they have a lot of burst even before 6, just thanks to the Sunlight procs and the Gatling gun.
Now, do you lane swap, perhaps?
I don't know. We'll see what KT wants to do. Probably.
We'll find out. KT versus KOO Tigers, game 1. Let's do it. And welcome once again to Summoner's Rift. KT Rolster versus the KOO Tigers here in our second best of 3 of the night, and this is a big one. Again, the battle for second place in the standings right now. And a very interesting composition from both teams here. Just a lot of champions getting through that we do not normally see get through in a single game.
Yeah.
Ryze, Kalista.
Great engage from both teams. You have the Annie, you have the Gragas and Leona on the other side. So could see some pretty spectacular team fighting here.
Support Pentakill? I don't think so. I love Gorilla just as much as next Bloodthirsty support does, but it's a lot to ask from an Annie.
So score on a little bit of a run right here. Oh, that's annoying. He's going to have to body slam out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, he's totally wearing the wrong clothes for Summoner's Rift. I mean, the river is not deep enough to scuba dive in at all.
Well, it depends on how many turret dives he's going to do, right? Then the scuba gear is actually quite useful.
It's a different kind of dive, Monty. That's not the right kind. Everybody asking for pentakills.
Arrow has 2 pentakills this season.
Yeah.
And KT has 3 overall. Nagne picked up 1 onto Azir.
Now, Arrow, was one of his pentakills on Corki? I believe.
Both were on Sivir.
Oh, okay, all right. Of course. Why would it be on anything else for Arrow? Silly me.
He's played way more Sivir than he has Corki this season, but he has played 2 games of Corki in his last 5, now 3. So that is a bit of a change, and we are going to see an attempted lane swap here by KT, but it will be called by KOO. Checking the brush with the Phosphorus Bomb, so KOO going to get that really good lane matchup, and Wisdom is going to be happy with this. There's a possibility here for a lot of kills in this lane if he plays his cards right.
I'll Peekaboo just walking right up to Gorilla, and that's the thing you can do. If you're Leona, you're pretty tanky early on, and you're like, all right, come on, use your stun, use your stun.
Yeah, and Leona's always a great response to Annie, right?
Yep.
So that's...
there you go.
Yep, picking that, having that ready in the picks and bans just in case they gave it over.
Yeah, you just take the Q at level 1, and if you get close enough to auto them and get the stun, then your AD carry gets a lot of free damage. And Annie is a pretty fragile support.
Okay, so as we watch here, we just watched Someday help out at the red buff and then just walk into the bottom side. So he's not going to have to use his support or his teleport. Smeb has to use his TP early, so I wonder how this is going to affect the early game, if at all. Certainly does give Someday a few more options in terms of when he recalls to get the tier, which is always nice to have that 4-minute TP so you can just get the tier and start that stacking immediately.
A lot of base on those Mundo abilities. Now Gorilla trying to be annoying here at this blue buff. Not too annoying though.
Yeah, just getting a ward in. They want to know where Gragas is right now.
Yeah.
Italy on the opposite side of the map. We'll see if the Italy wants to come in here. Harder to land a spear under these circumstances with the Mundo. No hard CC to help set that up. And, you know, Faker did a lot against the Cassiopeia when KOO played against it. He was able to get that mid turret down very rapidly. But Nagne has been surprisingly good on this Cassiopeia recently. And remember, KOO is professionally undefeated on Victor. And here we go.
Action on the bot lane. Going to go on Someday. They get the flash, and Someday's going to get taken out. First blood going over to Wisdom. And you kind of expect it. I mean, maybe Someday was a bit too far ahead in lane, but if you're playing Rise, you're probably going to get killed a couple times.
Yeah, that's just the reality you have to live in. It's not the biggest deal in the world. And the fact that the first blood went over onto the Nidalee is nice, I guess, for them. Now, when we saw this matchup last time, Score really wants to do something to KOO. SKT played it really well. Marin was in complete control of the lane. He kept the Rise actually pushed all the way up to his inhibitor turret throughout most of the game. Shy really wasn't able to do a whole lot. But in the end, the overwhelming amount of damage from the Rise Kog'Maw comp that CJ had was able to, at like 50 minutes, win the game versus SKT.
Yeah. Pretty exciting stuff. Oh, Arrow and Peekaboo have this top lane pushed up, and a lot of wards in the jungle, so they're safe to be aggressive in this lane for now.
Well, typical KT, right? Get the deep wards in as fast as you can. They're tracking this Nidalee right now. They know she has that advantage, and they don't want her to get some burst down. I'm a bit surprised that that kill even happened in the bottom lane. Someday getting hit by a spear before we even saw that engage occur, so we're not really sure how the setup happened, but he probably should have flashed earlier.
Seems that way.
But fortunately for Someday, he actually had enough mana for, or enough money for a tier. So that actually is huge because he got to use his teleport with the tier probably like he wanted to in the first place.
Yeah, he probably would have gone back and gotten it anyway.
Right. And if he had had to start without a tier right now, then he would have fallen really far behind, and that would have been really bad.
Well, here comes Score. It looks like they may be trying for a bit of a lane gank here, or at least Score wants to be around while Someday is pushed up in lane anyway. See if they can draw Wisdom down, and it looks like they are. Smeb is really low. There's no way they can gank this right now.
No, but they have the backup here, so maybe they're going to try some. They could hope that they could bait a risky all-in. Actually, Smeb's face checking a brush.
Walks right in there, gets body slammed immediately, and he's in a lot of trouble. Goes down. There's a kill for Rise. Someday picks one up, and Wisdom on the run gets hit with the Rune Prison, but Score a little bit low, has to flash to avoid that spear.
And Arrow has to get out the top lane too. Pops his potion. Doesn't have to use any summoners.
Looks like they're okay for now, but Gorilla and Prey trying to go all in at the same time the action was happening in bot lane.
Well, that was just miscommunication from KOO. Wisdom had to be there to back up that face check, so Mundo just squishy. Of course, only had that Doran's shield, now has a cowl. We'll be feeling better, but Someday going to get a free recall right here.
Oh, more damage. Arrow very low. The Ignite used, and there's Gorilla flashing for the Q for the kill, and Piccolo, or Piccolo? I really do have Dragon Ball Z on the brain, don't I? Peekaboo gets out. You guys try to use all these Korean IDs for hours a day. See what happens.
I will. Thank you.
Shut up. Start correcting you every time you get it wrong.
That never happens. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure.
Oh, man. But yeah, the top lane gang, Smeb uses his CP. He had it up before Someday did, of course, coming into the lane. And so, gets an assist right there, and Arrow playing a little bit too fast and loose. Again, super dangerous lane. You have to respect the Kalista and the Annie. That burst is huge.
Yep, Gorilla. Nice and bloodthirsty.
So,
and are they going to have an opportunity on Nagne? I would say the answer is going to be yes. Here comes Wisdom. Nagne backing. Oh, he's not backing off. Uh-oh. Score is here as well, too. They've got a ward. Score gets stunned over the wall. Peekaboo comes in now. They hit Wisdom with the ultimate, but Nagne gets a Chaos Storm dropped on him right away. Flash over the wall. Nagne gets the kill onto Wisdom, and there's a kill for Peekaboo. Peekaboo.
Well, they chose that fight, remember. They
did.
actually used the stun over the wall in advance.
Yeah, I think that was unwise by Gorilla.
It was very unwise, yeah, because when he drops that stun, that's basically KT's notice to go right there. Absolutely. It was a bit weird that Petrifying Gaze actually hit Wisdom.
It was kind of to the side, but I think he was jumping at a diagonal where it sort of calculated it as front. It certainly wasn't from behind. And there's a dive onto Prey. Hop your way out of this one, Kalista. Just kidding, you can't. And Peekaboo actually gets it with the Ignite. Man.
Yep, they didn't have wards. And again, look at the deep wards. Every time KT has an opportunity. They ward the enemy jungle so well, just waltzing right through. Peekaboo already had the sight zone, laying him down, and then realizing that there wasn't going to be a response to the dive, and that's going to be a kill onto Prey. It was, Peekaboo picks it up though, and Peekaboo notably still had his Ignite from that mid lane. He actually didn't use it in the mid lane skirmish. Nagne was able to get the first kill just with the help of his damage over time, his poison.
Yeah. Give the blue buff over to KOO.
So now, what is the state of this game? KT,
Well,
they are the team that needs to scale. They're running double tier here, and they have the later game carries. So it's looking good for them that they already have a gold advantage. KOO, of course, has a lot of tankiness, but I don't think that Mundo by himself. Now, if they had a tankier support or a tankier jungle, I think they would be better situated, but KT's single target damage is going to be able to melt even a Mundo between the
Seems that way.
Cassiopeia and the Rise.
Peekaboo's in such a good spot too. Has the sight stone and the boots of mobility, so he is not only fairly tanky, but he's fairly quick. So I would expect him to keep moving between lanes to make plays, even with the scaling that you just talked about. He's got the CC on Leona to try it.
Yeah, he does. So, and he's got the vision to do it too. I mean, you see there are currently 5 pink wards down on the map from KT Rolster. So this is a team that at 10 minutes has invested very heavily early into vision. And they want to dominate the map. And this is where KT really shines, when they have so much control that they're able just to outplay you through information.
That's the idea. Score trying to come from behind. Looks like we might see another dive. Gorilla waiting though, Score waiting. Oh, they're going to spot him. Yep.
Still, I mean, he knows that there isn't an Italy there. He knows that Wisdom can't respond to this, so he's just going to get even more wards in.
Well, this is allowing Arrow and Peekaboo to just poke up and take out the turret too.
They are so good at just choking the life out of the opposition, taking objectives, and just let's talk about the sequence of events that enabled this, right? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, Wisdom coming in now. Peekaboo throws
TP.
in. There's a teleport coming down. Will they be able to do it? There's the solar flare on the Prey. Nice cast. Knocks him right back into the kill there. There's one. Gorilla getting taken out as well too. Kills for Arrow. They're going to catch Wisdom as well. Can they finish him? Oh.
Yeah,
The
no
E from
more
Peekaboo.
dashes to follow that up. But
Yeah.
can they get 2 towers is the question. No, Spam going to
It's
start
a bit too dangerous.
proxy farming. I don't know if it was too dangerous.
You think so?
They're going to go for the dragon instead. So reasonable. Get the first dragon. Start those stacks rolling.
Oh, Peekaboo's so bloodthirsty. 3-0-1. Definitely what I like to see. Nagne taking a lot of damage, but he's keeping KOO occupied while KT takes the dragon.
So let's recap that sequence of events. So KT monopolizes Gorilla's misplay in the mid lane to turn that into a couple kills, right? Then what Peekaboo does is he walks through the enemy jungle and wards. All right, we'll get back to it in a second. So take a look here. Great play by Peekaboo. Nice synergy with Score. They give Prey no chance to survive pretty much. And Someday here gets the flash rune prison, but it's just not quite enough to keep Wisdom CC'd long enough. Score wasted his flash there.
That Zenith Blade was like 1 pixel away from bringing Peekaboo over for that stun onto Wisdom, so it could have easily been 3 kills for KT.
Yeah, so let's talk about that sequence of events though. So get the kills in the mid lane. We saw then Peekaboo roam through the enemy jungle, put 3 wards down, and then walk down into the bottom side. They realize that there's no counterplay. Prey stays under the turret. They dive Prey because they still have the Ignite, okay?
Yeah.
So you get those kills, and then they're able just to transition it, knowing that they have TP advantage, into more pressure. Score feels very safe. He knows that Nidalee's on the top side, and so they set that up. And for KT, what's been so impressive is that they set plays up a minute, 2 minutes in advance, and then make the right call. And we know Peekaboo is a major shot caller on this team alongside Score, and that's something that not only his impressive mechanical play, but his shot calling is something that has really leveled KT up.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, a really clever ward by KOO Tigers let them know that KT was trying for a lane gank there. So a little bit of time wasted, but meanwhile, Arrow is pushing up that bottom lane already. Man, 13 minutes. You usually do not see a Corki that far up the bottom lane.
Well, especially remember, he didn't have an advantage early. They managed to kill him. So he's bounced back really nicely to a CS advantage because they played around him. They zoned the Callista off of the tower so that he could start to move forward in terms of his CS numbers.
Very true.
And one of the reasons why I like Corki, I can see Corki in this composition. I know I said, well, what about the Kog'Maw here? But when you're going to pick Ryze and Cassiopeia, well, the Corki helps you have that stronger mid game to get into the Ryze Cassiopeia late game. So there are some advantages here, certainly.
Yeah, true.
He's basically the Band-Aid. He is the composition triage, helps you out when you're at your weakest.
Hey, it's working so far. Yeah, but Peekaboo is like the cure-all, man. He just goes between lanes. That's right.
Peekaboo Panacea.
Pretty much. It's a great band name, isn't it? I know that's what you were thinking.
I know.
Yep.
It sounds like a sort of lamer version of Pantera.
Oh, way lamer. Yeah. So many bands are way lamer versions of Pantera, though. That's the truth.
I think that could be said about most bands, really.
That's what I said. Yeah. Well, not most, but so many, which includes most, I suppose. Well, Arrow back in the bot lane. Still farming. Gonna take a little bit of an early lead.
And again, look at the number of pink wards. Still down for KT.
Yep.
Their pink wards have denied any kind of deep warding here from the KOO Tigers. They will be detected immediately, so the vision game firmly controlled by KT Rolster right now.
Well, it's an interesting thing that we don't see a lot of teams doing as well, too, is pink warding their own jungle to prevent the warding from the other enemy team. From the enemy team.
It's also preventing the dives right here. They know that KOO will not take the risk of diving, and they want to get in on this Cassiopeia right now in whatever way possible, but there's just no route that this Nidalee can take through the jungle. She can't even jump over the Dragon Pit wall because there are pink wards on either side in Tribrush and behind red, so there's really nothing they can do.
Yeah, they're being pushed back quite heavily.
Well, and how do they contest Dragon now? Prey is going for the Bloodthirsty, doesn't have wave clear, so Corki will always win the wave clear war right now with the Trinity Force. Dragon's up in 2 minutes. There's not going to be wave clear for Prey before that happens, so they need to get poked down, but Wisdom doesn't have the damage yet to really do that. We can see Score took a long-range spear right there, and it doesn't really affect him. It's going to be very problematic for them to actually fight this second dragon. And you know, Kuro was the last undefeated victor left in Korea. Faker fell against CJ recently, so we had big hopes that maybe, just maybe, he could keep that streak alive. And he's got to fight hard for it now because it's not looking great.
Yep. I would say so. He hasn't really been a factor in this game at all yet. And Dragon up in a minute. And KT with all the vision. And you know you're just waiting too. I mean, the thing is that the longer the game goes like this, in the state that it's in now, the scarier KT is going to be in the late game.
Indeed, and KT gets the perfect recall timing. There's no pressure, so they're able to buy a minute before the Dragon. This gives them plenty of time to contest any vision that's around that objective. They know where everybody is because of the wards they have deep in the KOO jungle. So.
Yep. Someday so safe as well, too. You just saw him ward that lane brush.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming in on it.
And ideally, of course, for KOO, this is where you would want to fight. In spite of the Corki Trinity Force, you still have 2 stacking tiers. Someday just bought his Rod of Ages. He has 1 stack on it. So you should, by all rights, be feeling pretty good at the moment. You have the Annie, you've got the Callistas to help secure the objective, but it's just... there's no way for them to get in there right now.
Oh, wow, Someday
boy.
somehow finds Smeb, and there it is. He's going to keep catching him with that Rune Prison. Oh, he misses the Q, though, and Smeb gets out.
But here's the worst part. Dragon's live, and now Smeb has no ultimate and is at 2/3 HP. Someday can keep pushing this forward right now. And now it's just going to be a Dragon Call from KT. So mistake there, Smeb getting within turret range.
Yeah, you don't want to get Rune Prison within turret range. Does not usually go well. Wow, and Someday just diving. Smeb has no ult. Someday flashing for the kill, and he's going to get it. That's what happens.
Well, and the Mundo had the Spirit Visage there. And this is where you wonder whether it's better to have that smite, because when you have the challenging smite, you can really cut out a lot of Ryze's damage if he tries to all-in you like that. And you still have the tankiness. Certainly less MR, but someday, oh man, this is a disaster now. KT gets a solo kill, a turret, and a dragon at the same time.
Yeah. And someday got 2 of those things. This is why this guy has the most MVP points right now.
And Smeb's no slouch, man. This guy's a great top laner, but maybe not too comfortable in this matchup. And you know, we've seen KOO rather. Remember the finals last season where they tried to play the Aurelia into the Gnar?
Right.
And Smeb is good, but it looked like they were trying to play for a counter matchup that maybe Smeb wasn't too comfortable with. And I'm wondering if it's the same thing here, because you saw Marin's Mundo and you're like, wow, that's an impressive way to deal with Ryze. But not working here.
Smeb has just played it very vanilla, very just like sitting in lane, not really doing much. And yeah, he lacks that smite, but it's just been very uninspiring so far. And the thing is, I think someday on Ryze is right now a lot scarier than Prey on Kalista too. So KT definitely getting the better end of that bargain there.
Yeah, you'd have to say. And KOO also, because of all the deep wards, again, this game has been so much about the wards. I know I keep going back to that, but KOO needed to punish double tier. They had to punish it because they will lose to it in the late game, all other things being even. So by having all of the information about where Wisdom was, it allowed KT to just avoid any kind of ganking beyond the first one and really turn this game around. And they also, KOO could not put on the necessary turret pressure to really make a difference.
Well, Blues transferred over to their respective mid laners. And now we kind of just wait. KT's still scaling. There doesn't really seem to be anything that the KOO Tigers can do to stop that right now.
Well,
oh, what do we have here? Huh. Bit of a warding mission, perhaps? Counter warding mission?
Sentinel killing mission.
I guess so.
Gotta get rid of those severed heads, you know.
Yep, that's right. Freaky.
How cautious Score was moving into the river right there. Even though he saw his Raptor buff triggered, there was no guarantee, so he kind of waited for Peekaboo to walk through the choke with him. And here we go. It's Peekaboo and Score together again.
Yeah, and they're going to see that pink ward as well, too. Not going to be able to do anything about it at the moment, but...
They're just waiting for the wave, because right now, Corky can now walk up there. And they've got 4 in the bottom river. TP is up for someday.
They've got to be really careful, too, because at any moment, Peekaboo could just solar flare one of these guys, and that could lead into any amount of CC.
Well, KOO...
Oh, there we go. Curl gets jumped on. That was a bit overly bold by Peekaboo. He's going to pay for it. And he gets the kill there. Explosive cast nearly finishes off Wisdom, but that was not good for KT.
They really overcommitted to that.
Yeah.
Too much counterplay available. You know Leona's coming into you, so it's easy to put the gravity field on your feet and then just have that turned around. Wisdom doing some work, but still no...
Well, Peekaboo is just way too far ahead there.
Yes. Misplay for sure, and nicely responded to by KOO. Now they're trying to get Prey far at the moment.
Well, he is down by quite a bit of CS to Arrow.
And they really do need the Randuin's done on him. Or the Runins, yes, thank you.
Randuin's, ooh, that's a new Kalista build I haven't heard of before.
We call that the Genja 80 carry build.
Gotta stay safe, you know.
You just hop into the enemies and then trigger it to get the mass slow.
It's brilliant. How else are you gonna get that slow?
No one ever expects it.
No. No one expects the Kalista to have the Randuins.
So yeah, the Runins is a nice power spike for Kalista, of course. You can really skirmish well after that, but it's going to be coming a little bit on the late side. And they are going to have a very narrow window to use this. Dragon back up in a minute and a half, and this Ryze now with the finished Seraphs, and so is the Cassiopeia. So the tier window has closed.
Yep. KT is pretty powered up right now, and just in time for this dragon, too. And they're just going to walk in and take all the wards, I guess, as well.
Yep, using the Oracle's Lens right there to make sure they can sweep through and pick up some around that blue buff. Mundo still playing defensively.
Well, how else can you play at this point?
Yeah, and he's got no armor too, so if that Blade of the Ruined King gets finished before the Dragon, that will be pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's another really nice timing against this composition that has no armor.
Well, KT with a ton of wards now. They can just turn onto this Dragon at any time. Still about 25 seconds till it comes up. And Nagne has a wave clear that you'd think he'd be able to keep the mid lane from pushing in, and yes, he can.
Yep, and the problem with running Nidalee jungle here is we come back to this again, Noah. Who buys the Aegis? This is something that we saw in our last series, where Najin had, Samsung had Annie and Nidalee. But who, in this situation where you need the Righteous Glory, it basically falls on the Mundo to buy the Aegis. And that's going to delay his armor even more. But you have to have an Aegis versus Cassiopeia Rise Corki. That's not even optional.
He's also just not buying the Aegis right now, so at the very least, it's going to be extremely delayed.
Yeah, went for the flat HP, which in a selfish context is a good buy. But basically it means that KOO can't team fight.
Yeah, it's good for Mundo, but it's not good for KOO. All right, well, they've got mid lane pushed up. And Arrow's a little bit separated from the rest of KT, so this might be a little opportunity for the KOO Tigers. Or Peekaboo just going to come in and engage. One of the two things are going to happen.
Yeah, KOO actually should have just collapsed on the Dragon right there. Peekaboo was on a warding mission in top. But they're really scared, and rightfully so, that this could be a very bad team fight for them.
Yeah.
But I'm not exactly sure they're going to get much stronger, honestly. The Kalista 2-item power spike is really big. If they land a good anti-stun and Kalista can get a few autos off on three people or so, they would be in a really good position to win the team fight.
Very true. All right, KT moving to the jungle. They did a lot of damage to Wisdom right there. There's a flash. Solar Flare misses everyone, but they do get a flash from Prey out of it.
That's actually huge.
Yeah.
That's so worthwhile if you are KT to get the flash out of the AD carry right before this fight.
Definitely is, but KT scared for the moment. Deciding to back off. They're still vulnerable to that flash Tibbers stun from Gorilla. And they're going to turn onto the Dragon now, though.
Well, look how much money is on KT, though. There's basically no gold lead in this fight, by the way. As we take a look at that, there's basically none. It's even.
That's true. KT trying to take this Dragon. KOO looking for an opportunity. Gorilla getting very, very close, waiting for the Tibbers. The Dragon taken by KT, and now KOO Tigers just backing off. They didn't find the chance they were looking for.
Yeah, interesting. Score didn't smite right there, but they still get it. And
they're going to lose mid.
They are going to lose mid, but, I mean, this is perfect for KT. They have Dragon advantage with Cassiopeia and Rise. They can just sit there for the rest of the game. Like, this could not be going better for a late game team, like a late game composition. Basically, KOO has to, like, Desperation Baron. This is a good guy. This is actually a good idea.
All right, I think KT knows what's up, though. They're coming in. Well, they should have an idea. Well, they were. And they're actually not. This Baron's going to go to KOO.
Yeah, but they might all die.
Flash Root Prison on a Prey. Prey gets caught and blown up immediately. Baron goes down, gets taken by the KOO Tigers, but KT all over them.
Well, they only got one kill, so
I guess so.
KOO actually taking that. That was a that was a good call from KOO, and KT was way too slow to respond to that.
Looks very dangerous for the moment.
Well, that's going to nearly even up the gold. That's not enough. KOO has to make this Baron count. But in this situation, what else are you going to do if you're KOO? And you've got the damage with the Kalista. You have that execute. They're not going to be able to steal it away from you. The best thing they can do is just fight you, and by only losing one, definitely worthwhile.
Nagne continuing to farm here.
Yeah, I think that was and that's what we come to expect from KOO, right? And we talk about shock calling while behind. They are definitely probably the pinnacle of that in Korean League of Legends. That is something they're very clever, and they pull it off. I mean, sure, mistake by KT. They didn't respect the fact that there was vision cleared. They did have pink wards in the top side, but KOO keeps themselves in this game against all odds.
Yeah, they do for now. With that Baron buff, they can really start to push these waves. I mean, look at this. Score and Arrow just their wave clear is not enough to keep their turret from taking a lot of damage.
Yep, and the grouping here, now they have Callista, so a little bit tougher to siege, that's for sure, and they could maybe dive, but even that presents a huge amount of risk.
Wow, this turret has taken so much damage.
Yeah, but to understand that call, you really just have to put yourself in the KOO. Okay, you're down 3 dragons. You're against Cassiopeia Rise. How is it really feasible that you're going to get a dragon in this game? Not unless KT makes a massive mistake. So you have to make a bold call like that.
5v5 down with this bottom turret right now. Is KT going to try to maybe engage or something?
Nope.
Now they have to back off?
Nope, just all you're trying to do if you're KT. You don't care if they get 1,000 gold right now. Don't care at all. You know you're up 8-3 in kills. Falling behind by 1 turret at the current time is not an issue. You just need to make sure that you don't lose too many objectives and you grind out that Baron. Because if all they can get off of this Baron is a tier 1 turret, you've done a good job.
Yeah. Well, looks like they're going to try to counter with the tier 1 and mid, and they'll be able to get it. Solar Flare slowed down KOO.
Yeah, he had to use Cleanse right there.
Yeah.
So,
all right, well,
trade 1 for 1 during the Baron. Not bad for KT. Now, this because of the way the side waves are, looks like KOO's not going to get anything else. And they're not going to have the Baron buff for the next dragon either. So KT weathers the storm pretty well. They lost a gold lead, but again, they have invested their gold into items that mature in value over time. And so it is more efficient. Yeah. QSS on a Someday already, interesting. I do find that intriguing. Just trying not to get caught out by the Annie. And it does give him some nice magic resist too to deal with the Mundo in the lane.
It makes sense. I mean, it keeps him much more mobile. It keeps him able to get onto prey during team fights. I like it.
Yeah, has the distortion enchant too. Just wants that flash up as often as possible.
When you think about it, there's very little peel for prey right now on this Callista.
Yes, that is very true. There is very little peel for him in terms of the crowd control. Not a fan of the Nidalee in this composition. I wonder why it was taken.
I don't know. Again, you know, it's just not something we've seen Wisdom play a lot.
Ever, actually.
Yeah. Pretty big CS leads for AD carry and top laner for KT as well.
Yep, that's going to be a nice place. And Arrow, in spite of that death, did come out thanks to the help from his team with a CS advantage.
Yeah.
That has really been a major factor. They stopped Prey from snowballing crazily on this Callista.
1 minute until this next dragon. KT, you can see already getting set up. Wow, Peekaboo goes in on the KOO. It actually drops that Solar Flare. It's a short cooldown ultimate, so you can be kind of liberal with how you use it, but I don't know. I haven't been super impressed by the Solar Flares from Peekaboo this game.
Well, throws it out. Well, the last time he threw it out, he actually did get his cleanse, so that was nice. But yeah, it hasn't been precisely on point. He's had a couple misses, a couple good ones so far. But at least they got some damage out on the turret out of it. It's kind of like a low-risk, medium-reward situation. I mean, if you miss it, you know they're not there because you have 1 billion wards in their jungle. So you can throw it out, and at the very least, you're going to trade it for turret damage. So it's okay.
Dragon's up in 3. KOO Tiger's rushing down the lane. And KT really kind of split up right now. Someday could teleport in if he needs to, and I think he will. Yeah, ping goes down.
He's going to recall first.
About it.
See what he actually buys here.
Is he going to have time?
Yeah. I mean, KOO can't just all in this. They have to actually set this up and try and get some poke down. Okay, somebody going to buy a sorcery elixir, so he's in a very good place to fight. And just walk up the mid lane, no movement. You see Peekaboo already set up for the flank too. They know what's going on in this situation.
Yeah.
They have no idea that Peekaboo is there, by the way, KOO.
Well, they've got to be wondering where he is at this point. They haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, but they have no wards in the enemy jungle. He could be anywhere right now. That's why they're nervous. He could just be standing behind the red buff right now. You just don't know.
Oh, I think they saw him.
They see him now.
Okay, yeah, and now they're running back. Peekaboo flanking. Solar Flare hits nobody. Zones him out. Oh, Score gets caught completely. Prey with the kill. They're going to go into Smeb, but he's way too tanky. Nagne getting taken down. This is pretty disastrous for KT, or at least it was until Someday showed up. They get the kill onto Wisdom. Both junglers getting taken out there.
Yeah, KOO did a good job of collapsing onto the flank and backing out once they saw Peekaboo on the Scuttle Crab. And so it was a bit of a disjointed engage there from KT. They could have just turned onto the Mundo and not gone in sort of for this sort of strange pincer movement.
Well, who's going to try for the Dragon anyway? Here comes KOO. The gravity field zones nicely. That's allowing Prey to actually take this Dragon with the Rend, it looks like. Will he get it? Yes, he will. KOO really doing well there.
Well, you know, they're going to keep going.
Step, no ult, and that's a lot of damage. Peekaboo goes down. KOO gets taken out, though, by Nagne, and Smeb is in a lot of trouble, too. Arrow coming ahead. That's a kill for him. And now Prey in a lot of trouble. How are you going to get out of this? Doesn't look like he can. Prey dancing around, but in the end, Arrow with the double kill.
KOO had to go for that, right? They couldn't live with any more Dragon Stacks. They at least get it. Now, KT, not in a great position to actually take a turret off of it. So even though they lost a few people, it bought KOO more time in this game.
Yeah.
So definitely still worth it for KOO.
Certainly is. It's been a pretty close game. Score just chilling out with the Baron. Looks like he's going to start it.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to be able to get it before this can actually go down. Wisdom's going to have to start and hope for an epic Baron steal.
Yeah, Arrow a little bit low. Someday zoning so much, though. You just can't get past that Rise right now. Wisdom throws in the spear, lands it. Oh, gets taken out, though. Someday just blows him up. That's an easy Baron for KT Rolster.
Yeah, and Smeb just reviving and not being able to teleport in with so many people already at the Baron and not enough members of his own team. Well, this ended up actually, I wasn't looking at the Baron timer right there, so it ended up not being great for KOO to lose this many people. I take back what I said earlier. But they stopped the 5 Dragon stacking, at least for the moment, but they get caught out. Peekaboo does go down, but they get onto KOO and just destroy him. That's that single target damage from Rise and from Cassiopeia. It is enormous.
It's pretty insane.
And Prey realizes what's going on. He's like, well, I might as well try to kill this guy.
It's a nice attempt on the Arrow, but there's just no way. And KT just taking the rest of the map after taking that Baron.
Yeah, still okay wave clear here from KOO. Maybe they can not lose an inhibitor right now on this Baron. They still have a lot of tier 2s up. All of them, in fact. So that should buffer them. We should head into a little bit of a later game scenario here.
Yeah. All right, here come the super minions. That turret's going down extremely fast.
There you go, and they're not going to split push. Oh, they are going to split push with Rise and Cassiopeia, actually, because no one can defend against that.
No, why not? All right, 2 tier 2s taken out already. And now just rotating up the top. The lane isn't quite where they want it to be at the moment, but it will be soon.
KOO was the last undefeated victor.
Well,
I'm going to be so sad if he loses this.
He's
I really liked all the undefeated victors, and KOO was the last one. Oh well.
Oh well. So he was the last victor, but now he's the no longer victor. He wishes Victor was the victor.
I'm sure he does. Well, KOO doing a decent job of defending this, but Peekaboo is just going to be able to wrap around the side and threaten to collapse on them.
Yeah, that's like a 4-man Solar Flare and then dive coming in from KT if they want to go for it here.
Uh-oh, Nagne got stunned, but not going to be followed up on. No spear.
Oh boy. Yep. Flash from Wisdom. Oh, Solar Flare onto Smeb. Yeah.
So that's it. KT uses the Baron buff to get all 3 inner turrets. Now they have just a boatload of cash to go spend.
Yep, using that empowered recall right before the Baron buff ends too, just to make it that much quicker. That was like one of the most efficient, effective uses of Baron I think we've seen in a while.
Yeah, it was very nicely done. And I like the fact that they had Nagne and Someday together in the mid lane, because even though they have short range and one of them may have been able to be held off, when you have both of them there, anybody on KOO who was defending would have died.
Yeah.
So the all-in potential was really scary. And you had decent disengage from the Gragas in the other lane, so even if they tried to kill Arrow and Peekaboo, probably at least a couple of them would have lived, and then maybe you lose an inhibitor to the Ryze and the Cassiopeia.
So how do you win if you're KOO? Do you just try to get clever and get picks?
You can't. I mean, basically, KT would have to make a giant error. They have a 9K gold lead with insane scaling advantage. KOO doesn't have an Aegis against Corki, Cassiopeia, and Ryze. And again, maybe you get a pick here.
Maybe. Peekaboo gets picked, gets very low, gets the solar flare off before he goes down, though, and that is big. A kill for Arrow already, and they're going in onto this one. Prey on the disengage, uses a cleanse. There's a double for Arrow yet again. Popping that scrying orb just to see where things are, and Mundo hide.
Mundo, they're just going to let Mundo hide.
They've got a ward there. Mundo not good at hiding. Oh, goodbye, Kuro. Someday picks up another one.
Just by making the choice to go into the base instead, they knew the recall timing from Mundo. So don't turn on to him, just turn on to the inhibitor. Good call. No need to delay it if you can actually just push forward and punish them if they try to
just get a couple inhibitors.
Yep.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. Mundo embarrassed.
So nicely done. KT just rolling through the base. Now, KOO had a better early game this game, you have to say. They did try and make some plays on the map. They got some nice lane kills. Prey got one, but once the wards came in from KT, KOO was just shut down.
Yeah. Early on, too, Peekaboo did have some really nice plays. Quite well. There's another Elixir. KT's going to take their 4th dragon as well.
That's nice for them. Just one more way they can win this game, Doa.
Yep.
If the Baron setup in 2 minutes wasn't enough, and the 2 inhibitors being down, and the fact that they have Ryze and Cassiopeia at 40 minutes in the same comp, just one more way. They're just dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
Pretty much. A very methodical end to this game for KT Rolster. A combination of roller and coaster. It never gets old.
It doesn't get old, but you know what they haven't been in the second round robin?
What?
Much of a roller coaster. They've just been winning.
That's true. It's been pretty much just going straight up.
They lost the match against SKT like we expected them to.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier this season where they were 5-4. Remember, they started the season 5-4. So they didn't have a great first round robin, but Peekaboo has done so much for this team.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you look at what happened with him on SK Telecom, and you wonder, you know, is this guy's career over with the wrist issues, being cut by the team? And now here he is, really making a gigantic difference on KT Rolster and really helping propel them into the postseason.
Here's the siege, perhaps the last turret available. Baron up in 40 seconds. They're going to get at least some tower damage before they go for that, if they go for it at all.
They may not need to. If they can catch somebody, they can just dive and end the game, you think.
Well, this just opens up so many options, right? Oh, there we
There's
go.
Solar Flare, yep, on to Gorilla. Oh, Zenith Blade misses. He tried to go for Prey there. Smeb's going to get the back lines. A little bit awkward. Score low. Peekaboo has to back away, too. Smeb, though, even through that ult, nearly taken down.
But they don't pop his GA, so
Yeah.
he can come back at full HP. And, you know,
It's awkward.
KT didn't have to go for that dive. They could have just waited patiently until the super minions came in and gone for the Baron. They're going to try and no, they can't recall right now. That would be silly. Maybe a strong chance of a counter
I think they're
Baron.
going to try to catch KOO here. KOO has no vision. No? Maybe not.
They have
Nobody has any. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh. Da-da. Goodbye. Gorilla blown up completely. There we go. Now that Baron's looking a little bit safer.
Yeah, no Tibbers though anyway, so that actually doesn't make that big of a difference. Especially with the
feels
flash,
good
but
though.
Basically, they just give them the runaround right now while they're super minions. But KT didn't have to dive that at all. They could have just poked down the tower, kept them from actually defending against the super minion, and here comes the
Coming
TP.
in, there's the Solar Flare on Ryze. Perfect. Zenith Blade comes in, hits Smeb Lasso, so he's going to go there. Someday finds him though. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage on that Ryze. And are they going to just end it here? Oh yeah, if they catch Wisdom, I think they will. Double kill for Someday. And you gave Someday Ryze. What do you think is going to happen?
Hey, they got the Callista.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think Someday's Ryze is a bit better than Praise Callista at the moment anyway. Chaos Storm goes down, but there's nothing chaotic about KOO getting eliminated once again by Rise. There goes the Nexus, once again by Rise. So there it is, 20-6 in the end for kills, and KT with a methodical dismantling of the KOO Tigers in the middle late game.
Yeah, they bounced back from some the questionable first blood given up by Sunday, but he played very well for the rest of the game.
This is the reason why this guy has all these MVP points.
Absolutely. And KOO, the last undefeated victor, will fall in this game.
Oh, well.
Sad times. But, yeah. I mean, KOO just not looking as coordinated, not playing the vision game as well. And, again, it's one of those games, if KT can get into your jungle, they become so powerful.
Yeah.
And their shot calling is really good. So you just can't let him get in there in the first place. That's how SKT beat them, was they just did not let KT get in the jungle.
Well, they